Support for WUWM podcasts comes from University School of Milwaukee, fulfilling a values-based mission of developing learners, fostering leaders, and preparing citizens for pre-kindergarten through 12th grade. More information at usm.org/mission.
From 89.7 WUWM Milwaukee's NPR, this is Lake Effect. I'm Audrey Nowakowski. Today, we'll speak with some MSOE students who want ICE operations moved off the campus. Then we'll head to Oshkosh in a new Wandering Wisconsin to learn about the Nutcracker in the castle.
In a standard production of the Nutcracker, you watch the story. But when you visit the pane, you kind of become part of the story. You get to move through the settings and feel that story unfold around you.
Plus, we'll look into Milwaukee's missing street signs in a new Bubbler Talk.
We're standing on Clement and Kinnickinnick.
You wouldn't know that.
You might catch the Clement. You won't find a Kinnickinnick sign on this intersection at all. And it's a signalized intersection. It's a red light.
All that's coming up on Lake Effect. This is Lake Effect from 89.7 WUWM, Milwaukee's NPR. I'm Audrey Nowakowski. Thanks for joining us today. Organizations and activists protested the construction of an ICE office on the northwest side of Milwaukee last weekend. But there's another ICE office already operating in the city. It's on the campus of the Milwaukee School of Engineering downtown. WUWM's Jimmy Gutierrez is joined by 4 members of MSOE's Young Democratic Socialists of America. They share what they've learned about ICE on campus.
Can we start by talking about MSOE's building at 310 East Knapp? When did you first hear about ICE's presence on campus?
For me, I first heard about it when we were researching for our Sanctuary Campus campaign, and it just came up. I'd always seen the building, passing by it, big Department of Homeland Security sign, but I didn't know MSOE owned it until we started looking more into what the university was doing about protecting immigrants.
Yeah, I distinctly remember when we started tabling for our Sanctuary Campus campaign, that's when it really clicked in my head of MSOE is involved in this somehow. We weren't sure if they owned the building or not, but we were very aware of the fact that ICE was in there. And at the start of the school year, we became very aware that it went from being more of like a visa office to being more detention, and I think it's called detention and deportation facility. Just feeling dread that our school was involved with that.
It's interesting because the building, too, has been, you guys provided an incredible timeline, has been under DHS control for over 20 years. What do we know about what's happening in that office? What do you all understand as students at MSOE about what's happening in that office?
We found out over the summer an article was released by the Milwaukee Neighborhood News Service about how ICE is holding their enforcement and removal operations headquarters in that building. So it's mainly doing enforcement and removal actions. A lot of the other processing is happening at the other office ICE has downtown. So this office is really focusing on detaining people. They're able to do 24-hour holds in there and working on forcing people to self-deport and deporting them out of that facility.
This has been happening even earlier than over the summer, though. There was this person named Yesenia, and before Yesenia, I actually thought that building was defunct, which was why MSOE bought it.
So we understand that, you all are students at MSOE and that you've kind of ID'd this very unusual building on your campus. Can you tell me who you are and kind of what the campaign is to bring awareness to what's happening on your campus and with this building, with ICE's presence in the MSOE building?
We're a chapter at MSOE of the Young Democratic Socialists of America. A part of the organization's overall goals at schools across the country is to have chapters fight to make sanctuary campuses, meaning that their schools protect immigrant students, people staying in the country on visas, stuff like that. So we started joining in with other chapters in sanctuary campus campaigns last spring. When we were doing research for that, we found out about MSOE owning this building, and we really wanted to focus on that because that's the biggest threat to the community and people on our campus, is having ICE be able to operate and detain people right next to our dorms and academic buildings.
I'm an incoming freshman, and It was quite shocking because there's nothing on it from any like outside view that we saw, except for this year we started really getting media coverage. And having a group like YDSA that's really been pushing for these causes and in the past has done work with similar things is a really good thing to see in this community. But since it's such a big focal point with our campaign right now with the ICE facility, we really are trying to focus on that as much as we can because this is the hub for Wisconsin as of now.
You know, you've noticed this, you did the research, you've had the media attention over the past year. What has it like been communicating with the university about all of this? What have they said to you? How has that process felt as students?
The university has not been transparent with us at all about this. They've released statements about it, but they haven't released it to like students. When they do talk about it, they talk about it in vague terms like GSA, even though it literally is just the Department of Homeland Security because they're trying to remain politically neutral on it. But it's really difficult to do that when the DHS is one of the most hot topic talked about things right now.
Yeah, on campus.
Yeah.
If ICE was doing all of these awful things to people, then are they pro-ICE? Just because you don't control the tenant's actions, at some point, is it worth it to take ownership of what's happening in your land? That's a question that comes up a lot of, should colleges even act as landlords at all, despite what they're doing specifically in this building?
So far with communication between students and the school, they did release a website. That website was not directly shared with students initially. It was directly shared with the press. That's how we found out about this website, saying, here's what the school's policy is, here's what the school's going to do. And nothing so far has been released to students directly. And I think something we need as students, as people who are paying tens of thousands of dollars to this university a year, what is going on? We need clarity directly to us. We need clarity, things like, is this money going to something that is benefiting students? There are just a lot of questions, and I think some of the other people here can add on to some of those questions that we have. It's just a black box of students don't know what's going on, and we need to know what's going on.
There's still a lot of unanswered questions. Who's making these real estate decisions? We don't know if that's the president. We don't know if that's the board of trustees or someone else involved within the university. We still don't know where this money's going. We got a statement from the communications director saying that this wasn't going towards the new buildings. So where is this money going is something that's very important to us as students to know where is this essentially dirty money going.
Yeah, that's a question I have is how did this partnership happen, thinking about a government agency and a university? How did this happen in the first place?
MSOE was donated the building. They purchased it for around like $1.6 million, I believe it was. And it was a lot cheaper than what the building's actually worth. With getting the building as a donation, they also inherited the lease to the GSA. DHS had been using that building through the General Service Administration since the early 2000s. So they kept extending this lease, and when the term of the lease came up, they decided to extend it further last year. Right now, they are looking at extending it even further this coming April. So that's really where we're looking at, trying to see if ICE can be removed from the building, if MSOE can not let them keep renewing it.
So lease continues to get renewed. This coming up April, another chance of renewal. It sounds like that may be being explored. Do you all know, or have you all been communicated with what's happening there, or is that just a big no, radio silence from the university at this point?
So MSOE put out a statement a few weeks ago where they said they would extend the lease if the GSA seek to extend it, basically, and they would do whatever the GSA wanted because they claimed they didn't have the authority to remove DHS from the building. In that statement, they didn't actually provide any reasons why they couldn't do it. They said there was a federal authority that meant they had to keep DHS in the building, and they also said that terms of the lease required it, but they didn't ever expand on what those terms of the lease were or what federal authority could be used. They did mention eminent domain as an example of a type of authority that could be used, but they didn't say if the government was trying to use eminent domain or if that was actually on the cards.
So I'm thinking even now with ICE's increased presence across the U.S., obviously we're seeing it in Chicago and places that are really close to us and the hyperinflated budget that's now kicking in. And I'm thinking of your Sanctuary Campus campaign. What comes next with the students at MSOE and potentially having to deal with ICE? You know, for some of you, as you continue on your college, you're just getting started here in your college kind of career.
Yeah, for sure. One of our biggest things right now is really trying to push for that April date to make sure they don't extend the lease, because they're moving into this new building. So it's a really crucial time for us to try and push them out and make them uncomfortable so their move is as disrupted as possible.
Heading on to that, right now the Knapp Street facility is the only one in Milwaukee that has holding cells, and the Northwest Side facility is not due to open for a while still, and I'm sure there will be more delays with that. So getting ICE out of this building would really slow down ICE operations in Milwaukee and help slow down the deportations that are happening, giving people more time to get documents in order and protect themselves and their families.
MSOE's big claim of them not being able to kick them out, even if it is true, we still would like that transparency of them just to release the lease, because even if they are telling the truth that they can't kick them out, which we don't know, but if they were, then we could know how to encourage them to slow down or, use what authority they have as a landlord to stop these, quite frankly, terrible things from happening in that building.
I really think right now it's on the university to take a stand and release the lease, prove that they have no power if that's the case, or show what can be done to slow down ICE's operations in Milwaukee. So I think it's really important for people to start putting that pressure on the university to take ownership of what's happening in the building and release the details of that lease.
That was Adrian Schellinger, Connor Mika, Rose Fritz, and Jamie Mardig. They're MSOE students, and they spoke with WUWM's Jimmy Gutierrez. Through a statement, the Milwaukee School of Engineering says its long-term goal is to have the space available for university use. But for now, the school is fulfilling its duties as a landlord. MSOE is a financial supporter of WUWM. What's happening to Milwaukee's street signs? In about 15 minutes, we'll look into the mystery of Milwaukee's disappearing street signs in a new Bubber Talk. But first, we'll help you plan a trip to the Payne Mansion in Oshkosh and tell you about a special exhibition they have for the holidays. That's coming up in a new Wandering Wisconsin on Lake Effect. You're listening to Lake Effect on Milwaukee's NPR. I'm Audrey Nowakowski. Seeing a production of the Nutcracker is a holiday tradition for many Wisconsinites. For fans of the classical ballet, there's an opportunity to not just watch a performance of the Nutcracker, but actually immerse yourself in the story. You can do it on a visit to the Payne Arts Center and Gardens in Oshkosh. That's where we're headed for this month's Wandering Wisconsin. Lake Effect's Becky Mortensen is joined by Aaron Shear from the Payne Arts Center and Amanda Weibel with Travel Wisconsin.
Aaron, can you just begin by describing the transformation that happens at the Payne Mansion to put on the Nutcracker in the castle?
Absolutely. I love talking about the Nutcracker. So during the holiday season, the historic Payne Mansion is transformed into the setting of the Nutcracker story. Each room depicts a different scene of the fairy tale with elaborate decorations and elements of the story. The experience is truly immersive. You actually enter into the fairy tale.
And there are a few different ways to do this. There are self-guided and guided tours. So what can you tell me about what people will see with these different options?
Sure. Guided tours feature live performances. There is an actor portraying Godfather Drosselmeyer, who is the storyteller and the guide. And there are also live musicians playing the familiar Nutcracker songs and live dancers performing vignettes from the famous ballet. Self-guided tours, for those, guests tour the rooms on their own. Storybooks in each setting tell the story, and guests have plenty of time to enjoy the many decorations and the different scenes. In addition, there are candlelight tours, which are self-guided tours in the evening, where the lights of the mansion are dimmed and the settings are even more magical. So it's immersive. You walk into the experience. If you're on a self-guided tour, one of the first things you're going to see is a big storybook that has an illustration that depicts the first scene of the story. These illustrations were actually done to depict the actual rooms of the Pain. So the storybook looks like what you're seeing. And the story then begins there. And as you go through each room, there'll be a storybook that where you'll see the scene, the story, and that scene in that setting. And then the guided tours, as we discussed, just kind of elevate the whole experience by adding in the live performances.
And the Pain Mansion has a rotation of art exhibits throughout the year. Can you talk about why this mansion lends itself so well to the Nutcracker exhibit?
Yes. We do present a wide range of exhibitions, from traditional artworks to more contemporary and popular exhibitions. We've recently shown life-size sculptures by Auguste Rodin throughout the mansion, and we just closed a major exhibition of illuminated sculptures and settings displayed inside the mansion and outdoors in the gardens. The Pain Mansion is a very ornate setting that lends itself to one's imagination. People often fantasize about what it would be like to live in the mansion. Our special exhibitions and events often play into that. The Nutcracker story brings the settings of the mansion to life by creating a story within the rooms. We portray it as if the characters actually lived in the mansion.
Do you have a favorite room or a highlight from the tour you could share?
Well, we haven't mentioned the Sugar Plum Fairies Cupcake Cafe. This is a special experience that's offered in the Payne's Conservatory, a separate building from the Payne Mansion. The conservatory space is transformed into a fairyland, and guests are served hot chocolate and cupcakes like a tea party. There are even appearances by a fairy. It's very popular, and the cupcakes are very good. I may eat a few too many each year.
Can't blame you for that.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what it takes to put on the Nutcracker in the castle?
Yeah, it's quite an undertaking. Our staff begin about a month in advance. We we'll put up and decorate more than 70 Christmas trees and literally thousands and thousands of ornaments. So it's quite a production, but this is the 19th year, so we're getting very good at it.
All right, Amanda, the holiday shopping season has begun. Where are some places in Oshkosh that people could pick up some gifts?
Well, there's just something really special about finding that perfect gift that you just know is going to make someone smile. And whoever you are shopping for, you're going to find great options in Oshkosh to match their interests. Start by checking out House of Flowers. You are going to discover a wide selection of really beautiful houseplants, outdoor pottery, garden gifts, and even candles and specialty foods. Another great stop is Soiree. This is right downtown. They specialize in unique handmade gifts, stylish home goods, and they have apparel for any occasion. Another great option is Atomic Cats. That's where you're going to find something with a nostalgic touch. They specialize in mid-century modern furniture and accessories. So you can find a really thoughtful gift if you've got someone on your list who loves a retro vibe. They also have a great curated selection of vintage clothing for both men and women that ranges from the 1920s to the 1980s. Stop into Eroding Winds Record Shop for the music lover in your life. They have such a large selection of new and high quality used vinyl, and you're going to find records that span all different genres. And finally, I suggest checking out Hugh's Homemade Chocolate for that sweet tooth on your list. This is a beloved local establishment. They started selling chocolates in 1940, and it is a bit of a hidden gem, quite literally. This chocolatier is actually based out of a basement in a quiet residential neighborhood. But just look for customers lined up along the driveway leading into the basement, and you will know you're in the right spot, and it will be worth that wait.
All right. And if people don't fill up on chocolate, where are some places that they could check out for dinner, maybe after visiting the Payne Mansion or out shopping?
Yes, consider the Truffle Pig for a new dining experience. This is an Italian restaurant that opened earlier this year in the renovated former Oshkosh Northwestern building. It is a really elegant setting, great place to enjoy some authentic Italian food. You're definitely going to have a memorable meal. The executive chef was actually born and raised in Italy and draws on decades of experience. He is dedicated to crafting meals that are based on simplicity, seasonality, and sourcing the best possible ingredients. Another terrific option right in the heart of downtown is Beckett's. This is a modern waterfront restaurant that puts together these upscale yet approachable cuisine that is going to please all palates. They have 100% scratch-made appetizers and entrees that are inspired by global flavors, but also made with locally sourced ingredients. And then I also recommend grabbing a table at Milano Resto for a taste of the Philippines. Their menu is full of traditional Filipino cuisine, along with other Asian-inspired dishes. Start by splitting several of their shareable appetizers. I love that that helps you get a little taste of everything. And then for a main dish, consider the adobo fusion. This is one of Manila Resto's signature items, and it is their take on the national dish of the Philippines.
And Amanda, Oshkosh is maybe best known for the Experimental Aircraft Association. What can you tell us about that?
Yes, the Experimental Aircraft Association, or EAA, is actually known around the world, Becky. It is an Oshkosh-based organization that encourages and supports the flying, building, and restoration of recreational aircraft. They're most known for EAA Air Venture, and that's their annual gathering of global aviation enthusiasts each summer in Oshkosh. This past year, they had 704,000 folks attend EAA Air Venture. But it's also an experience that you can engage year-round. I definitely suggest checking out the EAA Museum. You will be blown away by all of the detailed, one-of-a-kind, and really fun exhibits. They have historic and antique aircraft on display. They tell these wonderful stories of aviation pioneers and space travel, and have a great interactive kid venture gallery for any little ones in your group, and tons of programming throughout the year as well. Also, this time of year, don't miss the Oshkosh Celebration of Lights. This is a drive-through light display that's spread amongst the EAA grounds, and it's this wonderful winter wonderland of millions of sparkling lights that are timed up with your favorite holiday tunes. The Oshkosh Celebration of Lights starts November 28th, and it runs through New Year's Eve.
Nice. Okay, so back to the Payne Mansion. Many people might go to the ballet to see the Nutcracker, but for both of you, why would you recommend they try this experience this year?
Sure. Well, I love that question. And I think that the Nutcracker experience at the Payne is really unique and special, whether you've seen the ballet before or whether you might want to see the ballet in the future. Because we do tell the traditional Nutcracker story. We just enhance it so that it appears as if it's happening within the Payne Mansion. Ours telling is especially good for younger kids too, because if you come on a self-guided tour, you're kind of in charge of the pace of your tour and how you experience it. And there are 50 hidden mice that younger kids can look for. Adults like that too. But then if you come for a guided tour, it's about a 45-minute tour, and the performance parts are quite short, and you're moving from scene to scene. So it's a little better for younger kids who are still, have some activity in there, and need to move around. It doesn't get boring. They move pretty quickly. But ultimately, I believe visiting the Payne it's a wonderful experience in and of itself, but it's also just going to enrich your experience of the Nutcracker Ballet if you see the full production on stage.
I love that detail about the mice.
Yeah.
And Amanda?
Well, in a standard production of the Nutcracker, you watch the story. But when you visit the Payne, as Erin mentioned, you kind of become part of the story. You get to move through the settings and feel that story unfold around you. So I just love how the Nutcracker at the Castle is such an unexpected way to immerse yourself in a well-known story, but see it in new light and experience it in a brand new way. You are sure to leave the pain with some lifelong memories, all wrapped in tinsel and garland.
Amanda and Aaron, thank you so much for joining me for another Wandering Wisconsin.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Amanda Weibel is the Communications Officer with Travel Wisconsin, and Aaron Shear is the Executive Director of the Payne Art Center and Gardens in Oshkosh. You can catch the Nutcracker in the Castle at the Payne starting tomorrow through January 5th.
Bubbler Talk, quenching Milwaukee's thirst for knowledge.
I'm WUWM's Jimmy Gutierrez, and today I'm riding shotgun in Bayview.
This intersection is a mess. Visually.
This is Amy Carlson, and I met up with her and her mom, Rita Herman.
But here, we're standing on Clement and Kinnickinnick.
You wouldn't know that.
You might catch the Clement. You won't find a Kinnickinnick sign on this intersection at all. And it's a signalized intersection. It's a red light.
I knew where I was just because it's KK and I'm in Milwaukee. However, if you're moving back or you're just new to the city, you have no idea what street this is. You don't even know how to pronounce Kinnickinnick. So, let alone find it. Amy and I are both originally from Milwaukee, both moved away and recently came back home. And coming back home, there's something that we both noticed.
I posted on Reddit, what's up with the street signs in Milwaukee?
What's up with them? Like, where are they? Why do so many streets seem to be missing them? She asked Bubbler Talk to find out. Amy wasn't alone here. Dozens and dozens of people on Reddit responded to her post. A week later, a new post asking the same question popped up. So, does Milwaukee have a signage problem? I reached out to Common Council members on the Public Works Committee. Only Councilmember Robert Bauman got back to me. He was short, basically saying he's never heard about or noticed this problem. And if people do have a problem, they can report it to the city.
I find that really humorous because I'm supposed to report a missing sign, but if the sign's missing, I don't know what street I'm on.
Basically, not helpful, Bob. Amy wants to know if the city is doing anything proactive to address this problem. Wisconsin DOT standards say street name signs should be on all intersections, including urban areas. But these are questions for municipalities. So, let's ask the city.
This is electrical services. We handle all the city's streetlights, all the traffic signals, all the long line painting, so the lane markers.
This is Mark McCrae, operations manager here for the city.
And then we've got our own manhole crews working on our manholes, and then we have the sign shop, which actually makes and installs. And we don't make all of them, but we make the majority of the signs in the city, and we install them.
A little bit happens here.
Yeah, and then there's a couple other things they're thrown in for good measure just because they like to make my life interesting.
Drive by the DPW building and it looks never-ending, like a nondescript block-long warehouse. Walking in, there's an oversized bay, rusted-out trusses, old brick covered by chip paint, vinyl floors, harsh lighting, and still, pure magic. Tyann, or Ty Hardman, is a sign shop supervisor. She's been with the city for over 25 years. Have you all seen an increase in demand for signs? I'm thinking of like reckless driving or like anything like that. Has there been an increase in that, or has that felt fairly level since you both have been here for like 20 plus years?
An increase, especially holidays, weekends, summertimes. When people are drinking, accidents, icy road conditions.
So a sign might be down for a week, and we just don't come across it. Now, if we come across it, we deal with it.
This is Kurt Campagna, utility manager here. He's been with the city for almost 30 years.
So the 414-286-CITY is the way to report it. The quicker you report it, the quicker we can address it.
Okay, some answers. So if you do spot a sign down, you can call the number, or you can head to the city's website. You can also try to bother your older person, or you can post on Reddit. It's basically a choose your own adventure. When the sign shop does get word of a missing street sign, they say that street sign should be replaced in 1 to 3 weeks, depending on other jobs. Here, it's basically like a triage system. Missing stop signs and one-ways, things like that are prioritized. Street signs come after. When I asked specifically, what streets get signs? Should every main street and cross street have signage? Yeah, turns out they should. And there's a way they even keep track.
Check the official record book. Okay. Is there supposed to be a sign there? Oh, yes, it is. And then we replace it.
Wait, where is this official record book? Is this off limits? Okay. Because I would love to see the record book.
Top secret. It's top secret.
Yeah, there's the sheer volume that we run through here. We've gone through with Alders. They're just shocked by the amount of material that we're actually processing through here. It's pretty impressive once you get back there.
Let's get back there. Just about any sign you see on the street, no parking, loading zone, temporary tow zone, comes from right here. Here's how it works. So first, they design it.
Meter parking signs that we're making.
Oh, the very controversial meter. Then they cure and print the material.
See the light. Oh, yeah.
They cut it, and they smooth and paint it.
That's also done by our painters. They don't only do printing, they also do the painting of metal.
Within the past 2 years, DPW has gotten a lot of new tech. A brand new printer and this laser cutter. Jobs that would have taken hours for a single sign now take less than 15 minutes. And they can bulk produce.
Now I got a street name sign that I'm putting together if you want to see.
I mean, that is what the story is. This is Larry Jackson. He's been working with the city for the past 17 years, working on press equipment for 15 plus years.
I do the same thing to the other side, and we got a street name sign.
Okay, all right. And he is the man behind your street sign. Today, that's Hampton Ave.
I guarantee there's a street on Hampton waiting for that, too.
Yes, it is. That's what these are for.
Yeah.
We had this sign already in stock.
Okay.
So he was able to pull it from the stock room. These are such a hot commodity. We use them so often that we can't keep it stocked.
Can't keep it stocked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talking with Larry about the signage missing in Hampton, it sounds like it was an accident that took the sign out. Now, without signage, this is an even more dangerous intersection. This was something question asker Amy Carlson and I talked about too. Why good street signage matters.
Outside of maybe missing your reservation, what do you think are the issues with a place lacking signage or a city lacking signage?
I think it's a real possibility for a traffic accident because somebody's looking for a street sign and they're not paying attention to their driving. And that's when inattentive driving is when you get into the worst accidents, you know?
I talked with a few personal injury attorneys about this and asked, is this something that they've seen? Answers are mixed. But Ed Robinson, partner at Milwaukee's Cannon & Dunphy, said basically if you're in an accident looking for a street sign, that's on you, not the city. But even though there's really no legal recourse, municipalities still have a responsibility to address missing signage as soon as possible. The problem is, when a city budget's strapped, like Milwaukee's, and we spend almost half the budget on policing, it leaves other departments fighting for scraps. While the sign shop has received new tech, they've also lost key personnel. Sure, making street signs is more efficient, but Larry was hand-pressing those street signs. There's no shortcuts there. We just need more Larrys.
That's probably the biggest issue that Milwaukee's facing is it's an infrastructure problem where a lot of these things in a newer, growing city would be replaced with good infrastructure finances.
So, does Milwaukee have a signage problem? Depends on who you ask. Does it have a team of skilled workers who can do the work? Absolutely. Could the city use more investment to become a safer and more welcoming place? Sounds like it.
Support for Bubbler Talk comes from Palermo's Pizza and Educators Credit Union. What have you always wanted to know about the Milwaukee area? Visit wuwm.com/bubblertalk to submit your question.
Just like Bubbler Talk, Lake Effect is also a podcast. Search for Lake Effect wherever you get your podcasts to download and hear us on demand. We'll take one more break, and when we return, we'll bring you some new local music in the Milwaukee Music Roundup. Keep listening to Lake Effect on WUWM. This is Lake Effect on 89.7 WUWM. I'm Audrey Nowakowski. We're creeping up on winter season here in Wisconsin, but despite the cold weather, Milwaukee musicians are hard at work, putting out great new music. And as always, Matt Wild has been listening. Wild is the co-founder of Milwaukee Record, and every month he joins Lake Effect's Joy Powers to share some of the best new music from local artists for the Milwaukee Music Roundup.
So we're starting off with a very common genre now in the city of Milwaukee. It's alt country. I know that that's really the kind of genre they're inside of, but I will say this song still feels a little bit like it's between a more classic alt rock sound and alt country.
Absolutely. This is a new release from the great Milwaukee band Lady Bird. Now, we've talked about Lady Bird, I think, a lot on this segment in past months, but they're worth talking about again because Lady Bird just put out a fantastic new album. It is their second full-length album. It is called Clementine. Lady Bird, one of those groups that has had just enormous success in the last few years, and they just had not one but two release shows for this record at Cactus Club, and it's definitely worth it. It is a fantastic record, like you said, very much in the alt country and really old school country. There's a lot of rock in there as well. The song we're going to be listening to is called Old Fashioned. And it's one of the more melancholy, kind of sepia-toned, kind of, crying in your beer bottle type of songs about kind of growing old and going back to your hometown and stuff like that. There's a lot of those songs on this record. There are a lot of more fun, kind of honky-tonk, hard partying songs as well. But I really, really like this mode of Lady Bird in particular. The album is produced by Ian Olvera, and he does such a fantastic job. I just love the feel of this entire record. It's fantastic. The record is called Clementine, the band is Lady Bird, and the song is Old Fashioned.
Fashioned by Lady Bird. The next song we're looking at is, I believe, from an artist we haven't talked about previously. Love her name, though. It's Queen Quail.
Queen Quail, a Milwaukee native. Her real name is Kirsten Edwards, a Milwaukee native now living in Berlin, Germany, where she has been for 4 years or so, and she is getting ready to put out her debut record as Queen Quail. The record is called Narcissus. The song we're going to be listening to is fantastic and has some Milwaukee ties. It's called South Side, and it's a bit of a look back on her upbringing here in Milwaukee on the South Side. And it's just a really, really nice slice of kind of indie folk. I really, really love her voice. I really love when it kind of dips down into the lower registers. And it's great to see Milwaukee artists who have, gone on to, in this case, a pretty unlikely place, Berlin, Germany, of all places, and trying to make a go of it over there in Germany. And it's fantastic. There's some Milwaukee still Milwaukee-based musicians that guest on this record. Really looking forward to hearing the whole thing. I really, really like this song. It's fantastic. It is Queen Quail with Southside.
On the south side, met you in a coal mine. In my mind's eye, I thought you were the kind type. In the water, turned me into fodder. Turned me outside and left me in the cold night. Thought I left you on the south side, but you're west of the borderline. And I wanna be your time, but I'm late to my one life. Thought I left you at the low tide, but you're way above the waterline. Talked a big talk, never meant to know ya. Found the soft spot and then you let it harden up. In the glass times, forgot how to talk. I met a boy there, he thought he was a soldier. Thought I left you on the south side, but you're west on the borderline. And I wanna be your in time, but I'm late to my one life. Thought I left you at the low tide, but you're way above the waterline. And I wanna be your in time, but I never meant to be.
Southside by Queen Quail. The next song we're talking about, despite what its name might suggest, it's very upbeat. It has this, what I would call a kind of classic punk rhythm. It's very easy to sing along to.
Absolutely. This is a new single from the band Chit Chat, and it is called Love in a Graveyard. Chit Chat describes themselves as twee punk, which I think is a fine description. It's for me, it's kind of like a dreamy kind of post-punk sound. Chit Chat, if you haven't heard the name Chit Chat in a while, it's probably because they've only released one single in the past, and that single was released 4 years ago. So 4 years later, here comes Chit Chat again with Love in the Graveyard. Chit Chat is made up of Harrison Colby, Carmela De Acquisto, and Jeremy Alt. Harrison and Jeremy have done time in great Milwaukee bands like No No and the Delphines. Carmela has done a lot of stuff as well. And I've always been a huge fan of especially Harrison and his songwriting, and it's on display very, very nicely in this new Chit Chat song, Love in a Graveyard, inspired by, according to the band, a marathon binge session of watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the original Buffy from the 90s. And yes, it's a very tongue-in-cheek song about, well, indeed, finding love in a graveyard, kind of striking out in the living world and finding some love in the cemetery. Like I said, a very tongue-in-cheek song, but a really, really great one. This is Chit Chat, Love in a Graveyard.
I was
Love in a Graveyard by Chit Chat. The final song we're talking about is maybe what you would call garage pop punk, kind of. It's certainly a very familiar sound, but that could be because we have definitely talked about them before. This is a Breakup Tour.
Breakup Tour, absolutely. They describe themselves as bubble grunge. So,
bubble grunge.
We'll go
All
with
right.
that. Why not? Another song that has some ties to some 90s television, of all things. Yes, Breakup Tour put out a new record recently. It's their debut, actually. It's called Sorry for Your Loss. And every title on this album is has a reference to like a very kind of obscure internet meme. There are some that I recognize, some that I didn't. It's a very, very online album, if I could use that term. But the music itself is, like you said, very kind of pop punk, very upbeat, very great. The song that we're going to listen to is my favorite on the record by far. It is called Maddie Says, parentheses, You're Ruining Your Life. And it is a song that is about opiate abuse. It is a song about kind of growing old and aging out of the scene. And it is also a song that is loaded with references to the 90s television show Twin Peaks, which happens to be one of my favorite shows. So the second I heard random lines about Laura Palmer, I was like, I am on board for the song. It is also just such an earworm. The chorus of the song has been lodged in my brain for weeks and weeks and weeks. I really love this song, and it kind of deals with these very heavy topics, like I said, kind of opiate abuse and growing old and all those things, and yet it's this bubble grunge kind of song. It is fantastic, and that's very indicative of the rest of the album, Sorry for Your Loss. So, this is Breakup Tour with Maddie Says, You're Ruining Your Life.
Maddie Says, You're Ruining Your Life by Breakup Tour. Now, we're actually getting toward the end of the year. It feels like summer lasted so long, but getting into the holiday season, what are you looking forward to?
You know, I knew you were going to ask me this question. You always ask me this question at the end of our segments. And so I was thinking about it on the way over, and I realized, oh, yes, we are very, very near the end of the year, and that means end-of-year lists. And I was like, wow, we have not even started on our favorite Milwaukee Music of the Year lists. So thank you for inadvertently reminding me. I immediately told my partner at Milwaukee Record, Tyler, that, hey, we got to get going on this. We're in November. So yes, I am looking forward to looking back on the year that was in Milwaukee Record, revisiting some favorites. maybe finding some new favorites. I think it's been a fantastic year. That's just off the top of my head. Like I said, I haven't really dug in quite yet, but just even these songs, I mean, are some of my favorite of the year. Going back, it's going to be really hard to put these lists together. They always are. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And hopefully by the next time we talk, we'll have those lists ready to go.
Very nice. Well, as always, Matt Wild, thank you for joining us here on Lake Effect.
Thanks for having me.
Matt Wild is the co-founder of Milwaukee Record. Every month he joins Lake Effect's Joy Powers to talk about some of the best new music from local bands. At WUWM.com, you can find all of their previous conversations. And that's Lake Effect for today. I'm Audrey Nowakowski. Joy Powers, Sam Woods, and Excrit Nunez join me in producing Lake Effect each week with help from Rob Larry and Graham Thomas. Becky Mortensen is our executive producer. Emily Files helps edit the show. We also heard from Mayan Silver, Susan Bentz, and Jimmy Gutierrez from the WUWM News team this week. Jason Reevy is our studio engineer. Valeria Navarro-Viegas is our digital operations manager. Trapper Shep wrote our theme music. If you've missed any of Lake Effect this week, you can find all of our conversations at WUWM.com. If you'd like to take the show on the go, you can download the Lake Effect podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Join us again on Monday at noon when we'll explore the potential impacts of the Milwaukee Police Department increasing its use of facial recognition technology. Thank you so much for joining us today, right here on listener-supported 89.7 WUWM, Milwaukee's NPR.